Bienvenidos, fans of the hottest entertainment on the planet. Jaimé En Fuego here, and it is an awesome honor and pleasure once more. This is actually my second year now as virtual press taking part in the Fantasia International Film Festival, and it is a pretty historic installment because this is the 30th anniversary. That's right, 30 years. And man, as far as one of the most celebrated genre film festivals, and not just genre, I mean, you have everything from, horror, sci-fi, fantasy, but also a lot of very gritty and grounded stuff too. Just pretty much everything just off-center, doing things a little bit differently, a little more dynamically, a little bit more ambitiously in a lot of ways. And so that's what really makes this festival so special. I took in, I believe it was almost 24 films last year, and it was just such an eye-opening experience seeing just the vast myriad of different types of filmmaking that were being showcased, even on the virtual level, because yes, it is primarily an in-person thing. It takes place from, I believe this year, Thursday, July 16th through Sunday, August 2nd. And so if you are in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, if you have the just rad status chance to be out there and actually be in person for such a landmark event, I am so envioso, but yes, I am very stoked here in the deadly desert of Arizona to have the chance to cover it once again. So I'm basically, just like I did last year, I'm breaking my coverage into 3 installments. And so first, it's going to be 6 for the introductory kind of weekend. Then I'm going to do 6 more for like the midsection and stuff. And then there is going to be 6 more for the third and final portion. But I'm not going to just bombard you with all of that information because, I mean, there are so many films at this festival. It is really staggering, and just going through the entirety of the itinerary and even attempting to narrow this down to just a few features, because as much as I would love to take in short stuff, I mean, when there's so many features to take in, it just becomes a difficulty, regrettably. And I had to make that sacrifice just this past year when I was doing press for the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, which takes place in Phoenix, Arizona, here as part of the Phoenix Film Festival. So yeah, it's a bummer about the shorts, but yeah, it's yeah, with so many features to take in, it's just really tough to find the time. So yes, I will be doing a separate video as well, along with the horror show, which is going to be covering the scarific stuff, because this is more the drama, thriller, comedy sort of vibe. And so yes, that's why you are watching this on Enfuegotainment. So let's get rolling with the first 6 selections right now. All right, so the first film that I wanted to call attention to actually makes its debut on the first day of the festival. So Thursday, July 16th, 6:45 p.m., and it is entitled Tunnels, Sun in the Dark. And this actually comes to us from writer, producer, director. I mean, they have their hands in just every element of the creative process. Chuyen Boitak, and it is essentially a rumination about the Vietnam War, 1967, small village just outside of Saigon, but from the Vietnamese perspective. And so here in the States, and I mean just Hollywood in general, we have seen a number of films that just showed the just hopelessness and just the perils and just all of the negative aspects of the Vietnamese War experience from the American perspective. Films like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, things of that nature, very celebrated films, but I haven't personally seen anything that shows it from the opposing perspective, because let's face it, ours is going to be a biased one, even from filmmakers that were against the war, the likes of Oliver Stone and, stuff like that. And so, yeah, this actually does replay once more on Friday, July 17th. It's a morning one, though, 10:45 a.m. So if you're lucky enough to be in attendance, I'm not sure if I'm going to have virtual access to this one. But the one thing that came across just very implicitly from the trailer that I watched on the Fantasia website was not only just the perils and the ferocity of the conflict, and just how it was like a David versus Goliath sort of situation. And the tunnels, the title of this basically refers to the fact that the American military was trying to destroy the tunnels that so many of these freedom fighters in Vietnam were utilizing in their war efforts against the American forces and everything. And so, but besides the high production value, despite and also the grittiness of everything that I was seeing in this, one thing that really came across to me was the feeling of hope in a few scenes within the trailer of just like the connectivity, the camaraderie, despite the adversity and everything. And so, yes, this is one that I am incredibly curious to check out if I get the opportunity. But for all of you who are actually in person, in attendance, make sure to set aside some time for Tunnel's Sun in the Dark. And in a pivot that makes it evident of just how diverse all of the selections are that peeps have the opportunity to check out at Fantasia, my next selection is entitled The Dance Freak. And so this actually comes to us from a couple of Adult Swim alums. So we have Alan Resnick and apparently his Wham City collaborator, Robbie Ratcliffe. And I gotta tell y'all, the black and white just almost like overly unbelievably hilarious and its seriousness of this premise in the trailer is just glorious, or at least like right up my particular alley. This sort of almost just dare I say almost deadpan a little bit, but you have a virus that is spreading and it is essentially making people just move and dance and kill, that sort of vibe. But the trailer was just like surreal and strange and was like I felt like, Jim Morrison when in those outtakes he's like, you've been psychedelicized, and that was most definitely the vibe that I was getting. I saw lots of different just comic faces, whether like peeps from SNL, Stavros, who I just saw in Begonia last year in a smaller role playing the sheriff, so he was great in this. I mean, I don't necessarily know what to expect as far as sustaining a full feature-length sort of bit, because a lot of the Adult Swim stuff that I've seen was much more of that like bite-sized sort of variety. But I mean, just the black and white aesthetic immediately giving like some weird Eraserhead sort of vibes with like the industrial degradation and all of those sort of vibes. So this actually plays initially on Friday, July 17th at 3:30. So a little bit of competition for my previous film, but they don't overlap. And then it actually encores on Wednesday, July 22nd, and that's going to be at 2:40 p.m. So if you're in attendance, definitely, if this seems up your alley, make some time to check out Dance Freak. And in making another significant pivot and just further emphasis about all the variety that is going down at Fantasia 2026, we have a film that is doing a one-off. That is right, just solo screening here. And it is for a film that was named by Premiere Magazine, actually, as the funniest film it can. And it's entitled BLAISE? Mi français. It's not terrific, unfortunately, despite taking it in high school. So this plays one time only, Friday, July 17th, 9:30 p.m. And this is animated. And so it has a very distinctive style to it and also a very distinctive, like, darkly comedic vibe to it. There's one scene that is on the Fantasia website, and it's about kind of a parent teacher, or I guess counselor sort of intervention that's going on about just the lack of interest and ambition and stuff within the Savage family's son. But really, I mean, I was getting, especially with the art style, reminded me maybe of like an amplified like Art School Confidential, but some of the vibes of like the social detachment and everything were reminding me of Daria a little bit. But I mean, I am all for something that has just all kinds of eccentricities within the Savage family, and the mother and the father both with their own sort of issues, and then they have this sheltered son that is trying to kind of just break free, and apparently he meets a girl at a party, and things kind of, he spreads his wings a little bit, so to speak. But there's also, from what at least the synopsis was hinting, a series of almost like snowball downhill sort of situations going down. So I love the fact that it was left relatively vague. I really dig this animation style. I love the just quirkiness of the approach and just all of the different, influences and references and stuff that are made mention of in this synopsis. So once again, this is one night only, the first Friday of the festival. That's right, on July 17th, BLAISE, if I'm not butchering that pronunciation. So in keeping with the theme of the familial, next up, as far as my recommendations go, comes from first-time feature director Harrison Howd, and it is entitled, at least in its translation into English, Tight Lettuce. Yeah, interesting name for the film. But really what endeared this to me was watching the trailer and seeing a son who is trying to just do that reconnection thing with his father, who unfortunately has his own like inner demons that he has been struggling with for a great long while, and yet he still has a just affinity and just invigoration and enthusiasm for life. So yeah, the son is trying to reconnect despite having like a great relationship with his mother and like, you know, enjoys his job and various other things. But that one sort of emptiness that exists within his life is not being able to connect with his father. And one of the reasons for like the exile and isolation of his padre is the fact that he has a pretty severe drug addiction. And we see bits of it in the trailer, but there is much more of that emphasis of just the jovial nature of his dad. And so they go on this vacation together in this attempt of the son to reconnect. And those sort of stories are just, they are heartwarming to me. They're endearing, even if I feel like this could fall on the dramedy side and maybe even veer into tragedy. But you don't know that for sure, especially, you know, there is that possibility for, you know, redemptive arcs through the love of, those who are connected with you by blood and, you know, by friendship and various other things. And so this actually plays one night only. Yep. Just like our previous film, BLAISE. So this is showing on Saturday, July 18th, 6:30 p.m. So yeah, this is one that I actually had the PR person already reach out to me. I am most definitely going to be doing everything in my power to review Tight Lettuce. All right. Next up is just further emphasis and epitomization of the eclecticism going down. This is a film from Hong Kong that is also doing a oneer. Yep, one night only on Saturday evening. So after you watch Tight Lettuce, if you want to go check out a film from Hong Kong entitled UFO, Unidentified Murder. And so this one, even after watching the trailer, I'm still not 100%. I have like the entirety of an idea as to what's going on. But 25 years ago, there was a child that went missing, and there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about whether the fact that there was some sort of like, you know, like alien abduction aspect to this. And so there's this group of like influencer YouTuber kind of peeps that from what I can gauge, and so they want to go back and actually document and like live stream and film and stuff like that, going back to the alleged site of this disappearance. And it's blending, so you've got some crime aspects, you've got some sci-fi elements obviously with the UFO angle and whatnot, but then you also have like a very almost like silly comedy sort of vibe too. I've noticed this with a lot of things coming from this area of Eastern Asia, and I'm most definitely here for it, man. I love this sort of just oddball approach to this sort of like almost like hodgepodge mishmash, like, you know, melting pot of all kinds of different genre ideas. It looks fun, it looks silly, and yes, I am most definitely here and very stoked and hoping for the possibility to be able to check this out. It does once again play one night only, Saturday, July 18th, 9:15 p.m. UFO, Unidentified Murder. Now we come to the final film, at least in this first of my 3 segments of coverage. So this is one that is playing on Sunday, July 19th. It plays one time only, just like you're seeing a trend here in the fact that you have to strike while the iron is hot. You have your window of opportunity if you are there in person. Hopefully I can get the chance to check this one out in the virtual press library, but it is entitled You Are the Film. So we're kind of staying in this area of the world at least, and heading to the country of Japan. And so You Are the Film is coming to us from a writer-director, I'm just trying to double-check on his name, Makoto Ueda. And so he's a guy who has a number of films that have been showcased at Fantasia over the years. They describe him in some of the promotional materials as the Fantasia go-to for time travel sort of stuff. Now, I'm not sure if that's necessarily an element in this, but I love the concept. So you have a screenwriter and then you have a musician, and each of them separately go to the cinema, and from what the trailer shows at least, they're like by themselves in each of these respective cinemas, so they're not in the same one. And what they see on screen, what begins projecting for them is each other's lives. And so it's almost like a POV seeing one another's lives through each other's like theater. And I'm assuming there's going to be maybe some sort of romantic angle to this. I'm also not certain if these two characters know each other or not, or if there is just some sort of interesting fated karmic aspect that is bringing them together with this like otherworldly sort of occurrence. But I adore films like this, whether there is a supernatural element or not. I mean, Past Lives is one that just dealt with that longing, just distance of romanticism so incredibly well. I just adore that film. And so, yeah, it is once again entitled You Are the Film. And I love the fact that the trailer was vague and that even the synopsis just lets you know, okay, you have the hook, you have the angle, you know what the setup is, but where are things going to go from here between these two characters? And I cannot wait to possibly have the opportunity to find out what that could be. All right, y'all, so that is going to do it for, once again, my first of 3, because we have 18 days of the Fantasia International Film Festival that is going to be, as of this recording, commencing in just a couple days from now. So very excited. So as you can probably imagine, 6 and 6 and 6, that brings us to 18 days of the festival in totality, running from July 16th through August 2nd, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. 30 years, y'all. 3 decades. What an exciting milestone for the festival to be hitting, and maybe next year I can just stack up enough dinero to make my way up to the Great White North. So I extend a grande gracias until my second installment here next week. I have been Jaimé En Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter X, Instagram. I also do some of the Facebook and a little bit of the TikTok, but I'm relatively new to that, so I don't have anywhere near as much like traction or following on there, since it's I'm just throwing like little short movie reviews and things of that nature on there. I will be doing reviews both in the written and in the video form of everything that I'm covering here. So it's going to be a combination of little like just 500 words, probably somewhere around there. Probably going to throw them on my Letterboxd or something. But then I will also be doing corresponding short reel reviews of each of these films as well, because I just want to spread the word about so much independent filmmaking. I tried to specifically focus, as I will in the second and third installments also, not stuff that's like has already a guaranteed theatrical release, like the new Nicholas Refn movie, or the teenage sex and death at camp, and there's a lot of stuff that already has like a locked in, and that's going to go for the horror show probably as well, already has like a locked in theatrical. I am most definitely attempting to showcase and put the spotlight through my coverage on some films that are still attempting to secure distribution, or that you could have the possibility to see later on at a film festival that's near you, if you are like me and you're here in the States and you don't have the opportunity to go up to Quebec. And so yes, that, as I just wanted to double down on, is going to be the point of emphasis. But I am so very excited. I have set the time aside, and I am ready to get rolling, as these sort of experiences and just getting to take in such a just diverse variety of art is always such an honor and a pleasure, as I said at the beginning of the video. So I've been Fuego, y'all have been Rad Status, and yes, until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more with more coverage from Fantasia, hasta luego, sin amigos, and we will talk more soon.